Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Charles Zanders, Big Zanders here today. I'm here with my co-host G Jackson. G Jackson, what's up?
What's up? How we
You had
doing?
me, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like going into today, I was not excited, and because I was nervous, you and Smokey were not going to be able to make the show. There was definitely a
Oh,
nervous feeling.
Smokey was going to be here.
Smokey, I knew
We didn't
Smokey was
take
going
him
to
with
be
us.
here,
I mean,
but yeah, I know that. But like you're the glue, man. You're the glue that holds it together. Speaking of what it is, which is normally starts with an sh, which
I'm
is
going to make y'all doing these by yourself real soon.
Shay Mako. Shay Mako's here. Speaking of
Hey,
the shit.
Hey, I just realized we both got W's over Brett Michaels. I didn't see. I saw that footage of you on the gun show, and
Yeah,
I beat
cool,
him
man.
last night too. So
Awesome. Congratulations. We'll talk about that later in the show tonight. We'll
Later.
have Scott, are you going to be in for this one, or are you good in the background? Give us a thumbs up. Or okay, perfect. So he throws his hands up, and so he's not going to be in on this one. If he's got a question, I'm sure he'll ask me or ask it afterwards. So
we'll put it in the private chat, and I'll
yeah,
relay
he'll put it in. Yeah, exactly. So let's get straight to it. I see the man's in the queue. I'm excited about this one. It's been 2.5 months. I've been trying to get him on, and finally it comes to fruition. Your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler, Sal Rinauro. Sal Rinauro, how are you doing? Sal.
Oh, me?
Yes, the Sal Rinauro.
Yeah, the one and
There he
hey,
is.
how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm stupendous. Spectacular.
Perfect.
Wow.
The pre-show meeting went about as normal as cheap heat stuff goes, where people are pulling in sideways to try to get to where it's a safe spot for you to be able to do the podcast. We appreciate it, though.
Well, I mean, I pulled it to my house, so I don't know if safe's the word to use. But
Okay, perfect.
I'm not driving.
Okay, perfect. Well, so you've started a new gimmick. You've been you've been, I don't want to say like gimmickless, but like you haven't really focused in on a gimmick. In the little bit I've known you, how does this compare to what you're used to doing of just being an amazing wrestler?
Yeah, no, well, so it's real funny just because it's not really much of a gimmick. It's just the world getting to see my insanity as opposed to me suppressing it for 15 to 20 minutes on a Saturday night. I'm having more fun with this character than I've probably had in any facet of my career. Just because, and I give a lot of credit to Billy Corgan and the NWA, just because they just gave me the reins.
They did.
Billy, a couple, I'd say, whenever we did the By Any Means Necessary 2, I don't even remember what that was now. I guess the middle of last year, he pulled me aside and said, hey, you're always upbeat, you're always happy. Thanks, Billy. I'm the opposite of I don't know what to tell you. And he goes, there's a dark side to you. And I was like, I don't know, man. It's pretty much me. He goes, I want to see the dark side of Sal. I was like, all right, man, I'll see what I can come up with. So I kind of took a look at the NWA roster and said, well, what's going to make me snap? What's going to make me lose it? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. The literal devil works here. Maybe if the devil can't make me bad, I don't know who can. So I kind of laid out this idea where I joined Mitchell's crew and I basically become the bump dummy for Judas, who I've known since
Beginning of time.
2004. Yeah, basically, we did a tag match against Abraham Lincoln back in the
Perfect.
Yeah, my brother was stiff, couldn't work a headline. I digress. So I just I knew there was natural chemistry there with me and Judas. I had the devil to play off of. So I kind of threw this pitch and he was like, oh my God, I love it. And he tweaked it some and, added his smashing pumpkinisms to it or whatever adjectives you want to put with that. But then it was just kind of like, all right, Sal, now you're with them, go. Oh, that's it? He goes, yeah, world's your oyster. And so it's been so much fun just exploring all these ideas. And Lord knows if I had any kind of technical ability, like I've had some crazy ideas that like I put in my notes on my phone, like one day somebody that's intelligent could do this for me. Clearly not me. I have no idea what I'm doing. My 11-year-old shows me how to use my phone half the time. So,
Perfect.
but yeah, it's been great. I'm really excited about some of the stuff I've got lined up for the future too.
So the rap. So you did this rap. I don't know if anybody's seen the. I'll post it on the Cheap Heat website later.
Please
You did a
do,
rap.
yeah. Yes.
How was that? How many takes did that take?
One
One.
take. One take,
Jake, huh?
I wrote it. That was nobody asked me. It goes back to we were at the prior set of TVs and pay-per-view, and Billy announced, "Hey, we're next anniversary shows and NWA 73. We're going to the Chase. We're going to St. Louis." And because my brain doesn't work like a normal functioning human's, I looked to the person. It could have been anybody next to me. It just happened to be Nick Aldis, but it could have literally been any human. He was just the poor unfortunate soul that sat next to me. And I look over at him. I go, "Man, St. Louis, you think Nelly's going to be there?" And he kind of just like, "Oh God."
What is someone who is someone who's rolled their eyes at you after making a comment that warmed your heart the most? Because I know you're a wrestling nerd at heart.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're talking about the cream of the crops, the Bryan Danielsons, the CM Punks, Seth Rollins, Xavier Woods, Adam Pearce. Pretty regularly will get an eye roll. As a matter of fact, I was just in Raleigh for SmackDown this last Friday, and I hit Sami Zayn with a couple zingers, and it was just like, man, the more things change, huh? I was like, well,
that's pretty rough if you get Sami Zayn to roll his eyes, because he's a pretty cheesy looking dude.
It's pretty impressive to get a word in edgewise with Sami, so it was well worth the work.
Gene can feel that through and through. Gene Jackson can feel that because he has to deal with me on a regular basis. Gene was a huge ROH guy, so Gene, got any question for those those really that's the cream of the crop ROH days?
I mean, I'm sure I could, but I'm kind of interested on the topic we're on now. Most guys in the business right now are so hyper focused on the in ring and the moves and the spots and all that. And you being a veteran that you are, and being more than capable in the ring, how important is it for guys, especially younger guys, to start working towards developing some kind of character, some kind of hook, something that makes them stand out besides just the moves? Because I've told Zanders this 1,000 times. There's 10,000 great wrestlers who can do 10 million great moves. That's not really special anymore. It really doesn't make you stand out. And this upbeat Zanders character he's done, it really kind of opened a new door for him as far as showing his personality. And so do you think it's really important for guys to start trying new things, start coming up with a character and doing things that's off, maybe outside their comfort zone?
I think it's paramount to the future of the business. I mean, the business is built on characters, and like you said, I mean, if you've watched my work, I like spots. I like, but you get so much more out of having an emotional connection and then doing the cool move. The cool moves are very cool, but it means so much more when there's somebody that you care about doing something amazing as opposed to just seeing something amazing. And that's the one thing I try to impart on all the younger guys I work with is, please do your cool moves. Make me enjoy your match. But if you can give me a reason to care about you before you do it, then you've already done 3/4 of the work.
You've always been that person who's been able to create a moment. You can always create a moment where the fans have I'm happy because I love this character gimmick that you're doing, because you've always had an unbelievable wealth of knowledge, and unfortunately it's tough to be our size and not have a gimmick and have that wealth of knowledge and use it successfully. How nice has it been to been able to fall back on character, because it is nice.
It's made the way I lay out matches a lot different. But it also will get me reactions earlier than, because now whenever I have a break point where I can stop and just do the crazy sit and rock, the crowd comes with it, and it
Yeah.
means so much more. When I mean, like I have, I mean, I'll just lay it out because I don't care. I've got my basic generic house show match formula now, where it's we'll do a quick chain wrestling sequence, blah 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 blah. I'll find a break and sit and rock, and have the guy kind of look at me odd, and then I'll snap out of the delusion. We'll go at it again. Waist lock, waist lock, waist lock, waist lock, waist lock, waist lock, break, crawl through British style, sit and rock again. At this point, the guy I'm wrestling gets hot. He charges at me with the boot. I catch it. I work my way up, and it's such an unreal feeling, but it's never failed me, and I can't put my finger on exactly why it works, but it's never not worked. Every time I catch that kick and I start working my way up, the people come up with me. And I'm not doing anything. I'm literally going from standing or from sitting to standing. That's all I'm doing. I'm not like, it's not handspring stunner. It's not a corkscrew moonsault. I'm sitting down and now I'm standing up. And every time they go, oh, and then I'll do I'll do a step through roll. It's another British.
Then you get complex. Then
Yeah,
you get
no.
complex.
Yeah, no, then I put lipstick on the pig, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Finally, it's where I get to the point where I can snapmare the guy. Now he's seated. I hop over him. I sit down next to him. Now we're both sitting and rocking. And then he gets hot and we go into real physicality.
How early were you calling like stuff like this? Because I can see how, because I've got to wrestle you once or twice and it's fun because this is exactly the way you talk to people during, before, and after.
Yes.
I mean, is it just something to where it's just, when did that happen? When did that start happening for you? Because how long have you been doing this, by the way?
This is year 24. What year is this? 22? Yeah. So my first match was in 98. So this is 24.
How early on did you start talking like that? Because you did it even without a gimmick, like you were just being your pal Sal doing.
Yeah. Honestly, once I started getting comfortable in Wildside, really on the Friday night shows. So I'd say about 2001 is when I really got my feet under me at Wildside. It just kind of.
How often were you working during those times?
I mean, we were doing a Friday night show every Friday. We had TVs up there the first and third Saturday of every month. And then I would fill in the blanks. So we're talking, plus I would do trainings and stuff. So I would say I was in the ring at least 4 days a week. And I mean, like, I'm one of those guys where I'm either fortunate or unfortunate. It's perspective. This is all I've ever known. Like I remember very vividly being in my third grade class with Miss Bradshaw, and she's going around the class like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And little Tommy wants to be a doctor, and little Fred wants to be an electrician, and little Tammy wants to be a dinosaur. And well, what do you want to be, Sal? Well, I want to be a wrestler. Oh, well, little Tammy has a better shot at being a doctor than you do. But like that's. It's the only thing I've ever wanted to do, So like I've been, even as a kid when I was just watching, I didn't know I was studying, but I was studying. So when it came to the basics, or the concept of laying out a match, once that light bulb switched, where I was like, oh no, we do this for this. I was like, oh. And then I kind of had a lot of the tools in my tool belt already. So when I was, I started going up to those Cornelia training sessions to learn, and within 6 months, the trainers were asking me questions. Well, what would you do here? What do you think about this? And it's just, I'm fortunate in that, unless you're somebody that's like, oh no, he was smart, could have been like a mathematician or
yeah,
something.
you've been that locker room leader for a really long time.
And I think most of it is more just passion. I love wrestling. It's not disguisable. It's indistinguishable. Like I learned a lot from Jimmy Rave, where like I don't want to be good. I want everybody to be good. Yeah. Because the more good people I have in a locker room, the more good matches I can have.
Yeah.
And so, I've never been the guy to walk into a room and, give the rah-rah speech and like, hey guys, this is the future and blah, blah, whatever.
No, you're always that guy that walks up and he helps every match. You watch far more wrestling than you should. Like I watch unnecessary amounts of it. You watch far more than what your sanity should allow you to.
100%, and that's why the insane character is not that hard. That's why. that's why it's not a big weight. It's
Cheap.
So, we talked about how, you came up in the early days of Ring of Honor and, you shared the ring and were good friends with guys like Bryan Danielson, CM Punk. And in that day, when you guys were going in Ring of Honor, wrestling was still kind of controlled by the big men and Vince's, perfect idea of what a wrestler should be, which was always the big muscle man, Batista types. Like, back in Ring of Honor, back in those days when you guys were coming up, did any of you really foresee a time where, Bryan Danielson and CM Punk could be on top of the business and reach the level that they have now?
Even Claudio, because Claudio wasn't really Claudio was not even looked at as like a big guy to Vince.
It's pretty amazing.
The answer is yes and no. I mean, like it's. There's 2 locker rooms I've been in my life that have had the same atmosphere where it's a total team effort where everybody's working for that common goal, where whether you're pre-show match 1 or main event, everybody is busting their balls to do right by this company to help expand the company. And that was that Ring of Honor locker room and the current NWA locker room. I would say forever, I would go do these ROH shows, and I would come back to Georgia and be like, guys, you need to book Bryan Danielson. And they go, why would I want to book this guy? He's generic. He's a wrestler. I don't want to. And I'm like, no.
You fools.
He's so much more than that. And they just they wouldn't see it, And I was just like, no, like I promise you, this guy is more than it. So like, I knew, like, if you give him the ball, he's going to score every single time. CM Punk, you give him a microphone, he's undeniable. It's undeniable. You give him a live microphone in 2 minutes, and he's going to make you want to buy a ticket for the next show, and the show after that, and the show after that. And I used to have to drive that point home to a lot of guys. Like, look, guys, when we're at a show, we are not there to sell tickets for that show. Those tickets are already sold. What can we do to get a butt every 18 inches next week and the week after that and the week after that? And you see guys like, Joe. I mean, you went down that roster. I mean, it's stupid. And like, I was fortunate enough to I understood when I was on those shows, like, oh my God, I don't belong here. Oh no, somebody's gonna figure this out. Like, I'm sitting at the curtain and I'm getting paid to watch Bryan, getting paid to watch Homicide, getting paid to watch Joe, Aries, Roddy, Jay, like all these guys. I'm like, oh no, the secret's gonna get out.
So, and I will say this story because Sal is truly a pal. Real quick, my only opportunity, and I've destroyed it, and we'll probably never get another chance at ROH. I show up and nervous, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything. I set my stuff down in the second locker room. And Sal goes, oh, no, row locker room. This is ours. And he helped me guide me to the correct locker room so I didn't get murdered by the great, probably Bubba Ray Dudley or someone like that who would have thrown me out of there very quickly. So, Sal, I do greatly appreciate that.
I try to look out for others.
Because I was going to die. I would have died in there. There would have been no doubt about it.
It would have been over for you immediately. But and that's part of the thing, ironically, here's a story for you that you'll appreciate. So, like I said, Friday I was booked for SmackDown, and me and my buddy Marv, we were the first 2 extras there.
Friend of the show, by the way. Marv's great friend. He had a podcast interview with us a couple weeks ago. Bart, friend.
There it is. Yes, great friend of the pod, Marv. He's my go-to guy on the road now.
He is.
And so Marv and I are booked for Raleigh. We walk in. First person we see is Kenny Dykstra, who's the guy that books the extras now. So we're catching up with Kenny. We go to where you fill out your W-9s and do your paperwork and all that stuff. As we're doing that, 2 more guys, 3 people walk in, 2 in suits and 1 that looks like Forrest Gump when he's on the mile-long run. I mean, full boogie beard, torn up shirt, ripped up jean shorts, and I'm like, who's this guy? And one of the kids, I mean, and I've never met this kid before in my life. He goes, oh, this is my dad. You brought your dad to work? Well, I mean, he just kind of followed me in and nobody stopped him. You need to stop him. Like,
That is not their job, sir.
bad things are going to happen. Get him out of there now. And until you get him out of here, don't talk to me again.
Yep.
I don't want any of that on me.
Yeah.
And, you know, sure enough, this kid was like, oh, for real? I was like, you're talking to me. Stop it.
Yes, if I'm saying it, yes. If I'm trying to get this. Oh, man. So, okay, there's one more question. And the guy who you actually, I'm pretty sure you faked this arm injury so you didn't have to wrestle him in Tennessee one time, is going to ask this question very now. This is Scott Morgan. Scott Morgan, what's your question?
All right, so you're on everybody's go-to list of people that they want to wrestle. So I'm kind of curious, who's on your list that you haven't had the opportunity to be in the ring with that you would like to do so?
Number 1's Boogeyman. No questions asked. That's the I would love to do something with the Boogeyman. He was
in Alabama recently. He was in Huntsville recently.
Well, so I just did a show with him in Kentucky not too long ago, and I was like, guys, how do we slide me in on it? Like,
so wait. Before you go any further, if I can get Boogeyman versus you, will you come to Alabama?
Absolutely. I'm already Alabama licensed. I've got the license.
Double sold.
No. The hard work's done. You give me a date. I promise you 100,000 times I'm there.
Heck yeah. Okay.
I was actually scheduled to book him or work him once. This was 2014, I guess. And I shot a bunch of vignettes where I was doing my Boogeyman training, which included like hiding under the bed so I would get over my fear of the dark and eating gummy worms so I could be prepared to. But before I even got to put any of those out, they ended up pulling them from the show for whatever reason.
You still have those, correct? You still have those.
Oh, I would update them. I'd pretty them up.
Okay. So number 4 then. Give us number 4.
Yeah, so let's see. Who? I mean, there's so much talent out there. Kerry Morton. I'd love to get in there with Kerry. We've done one brief spot at the for NWA. It was a big cluster battle royal deal, and we did one little thing. But I would love to get a full match with Kerry. I'm trying to think who else is out there that's really on my hit list. I know there's a couple. What's his name? This was a hard question because I'm so bad.
Perfect. Scott would throw the hardest thing at you possible.
Yeah, 100%.
It puts you in the spot to where you can't get past it. He tends to do that. That's what he considers working. Is he just murders you with questions that are impossible to answer. When
you have a skill, you have a skill, right, Daddy? I'm not bad. Oh, heavens to Betsy.
So I would suggest I would like to see you versus like Ben Buchanan, because Ben does so well at like just portraying like that douchey kind of young kid character to where your character would work well as a babyface.
Ben and I actually did a match in Anarchy. That rocked. It was and I got to do my favorite false finish. He was so happy about it. I stole it directly from a Jeff Jarrett Superstar squash match, where I'm pretty sure the clip is out. You know, the clip's got to be out there, but it's one of those things that just stuck with me my whole life. Jarrett's just squash match guy, you know, just destroying this guy's life. Finally, guy gets a couple shots in, shoots Jarrett, reverse. The guy goes for a drop kick. Jarrett holds on. The guy crashes, and Jarrett just pins him. 1, 2, 3. Hold that.
I saw that recently. Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's so good. It's so like I've always said, like, man, people bought that. So like when I worked Ben, I was like, hey, I got an idea for a false finish. And so, you know, I lay it out, blah, 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 blah. You go for the drop kick. I hold on. I'll jackknife pin you. And he's like, well, what else? I go, well, then you kick out.
What else?
And, he's kind of like, "Are you sure?" I go, "I promise you." And they bit so. I mean, it was 1, 2, oh, and we were in the ring, and I was like, "See, like,
Yeah. You're somebody who catches people all the time from situations you shouldn't be catching people from, and winning with it.
No, and that's Kurt Angle. I actually Marv and I were just talking about this on the road coming back from Raleigh, where I was like, it's Kurt Angle won the world heavyweight title from the Big Show with a headlock takeover. Like, and why wouldn't he? He's Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. Like, yeah, hey, you just do a wrestling move and win. That shockingly that works, right? I've always been real big on trying to take things out of their paint by numbers place in a match. Like, why can't I do an international in the middle of my comeback? Why can I only do drop down, leapfrog, hip toss, arm drag, drop kick in the first 3 minutes? Why can't I do it later?
That was Jimmy. Jimmy would do that all the time too. He pulled that out of his hat all the time.
And that's 100% where that was the stuff we would talk about incessantly. Like, why can't I just do this top rope arm drag instead of like, well, I don't have to do a Rana. Let me just drag you out of this, and then we can go into something. And it's just especially when people are so conditioned to see something somewhere. When you see it over and over and over and over, and then you put it somewhere different, it's like, oh,
people, they buy it every time. They buy it every single time.
It's a warm hug that you don't expect. Like, oh, yeah. But yeah, I loved working with Ben, and and it's still crazy to me. Like, for whatever reason, Bull loves me. Which just like in my brain doesn't make sense.
Basically makes no sense. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, like, brother, you're you. Like,
you're doing the top rope leg drops and nonsense like that, dude.
Like,
Get out of here.
I paid to watch you open WrestleMania. You don't you don't acknowledge my existence. It's okay. Like, I'm not mad at you. But Bull loves me. And then, like, I did the match with Ben, and he was just like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." Like, oh, what?
You're welcome. Yeah. That was the one. That was the answer I gave him, because I've got to wrestle him one time, and that was he said, "Thanks, I appreciate it." And I was like, "You're welcome." Hell, I don't know. Like, thank you. You're awesome.
He's awesome, man. I love Ben. I love Bull, and I see that Ben's little brother's starting to do wrestling too.
Right.
So it's just a matter of time before I'm putting over another Buchanan somewhere.
It happens. It's just the way the story arc's going to be.
Yes, no.
Well, Sal, man, we appreciate you being on here. This was well worth it. Hopefully we can have you back on. I know Gene has been kind of talking to me privately, and I know you're good friends with Shane Knowles. They do an old school dives all the time where they come on and talk about obscure wrestling and stuff that I would never know anything about, and they would love to have you on here.
Sign me all the way up, man. We for whatever reason, just because insanity, I decided about 2 years ago to go back and rewatch every episode of Raw and then intersplice it with the pay-per-views up until Nitro, and then it's Raw, Nitro, pay-per-views, clashes, and all that stuff. And I'm actually on the Survivor Series 97 right now. But I mean, it's just it's so funny going back and watching that stuff with the perspective I have now, and just like guys that I'm like, well, I thought you were great. You're the worst. Guys that I had no love for.
Okay, so who is the one person? Because like I'm not a big okay, I'm gonna catch you for this, but I'm not a big Bret Hart fan.
That's the answer. That's the answer. That is 100% the answer. And I get slack for this all the time.
I tell them all the time, Sal's my only ally then.
Look,
Sal, it's been fun, man.
Sal, you're breaking up, man. We're sorry.
I'll just say this. Go back and watch King of the Ring 95. He takes three pile drivers from Jerry the freaking King. Not like random dude that's not known for his fight. Jerry the freaking King Lawler. Bret Hart takes 3 pile drivers. I can't even give him one of these. Like, that's cool. Like, bro, when you get hot,
See,
you ain't
and
tricking
I
me.
can say this. I never said Bret was a nice guy. I can see Bret being a dick. Like, I can hands down see Bret Hart being a total dick when he needed to be a dick. But in the ring, like watching him and how clean he was and all that, I love his in ring. I don't know the guy personally, but I can tell he could be a dick.
This is the first time Mako's been into this podcast since we
Mako's like, I ain't said a word. But you start talking shit about Bret Hart. My God.
There's little things that drives me nuts. I watched him versus Diesel, and he just starts off throwing hands with Diesel, trading shots, and like, hey, spoiler alert, you're not 7 foot and 330. I didn't make it that way. I swear to God, it's not my call, or I would have made me 7 foot 330.
Like a little chihuahua, he likes to bite,
you can bite, but you can also
you gotta sell when you get bit too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right, Sal, I can't defend any of the points you've brought up. I have to just
and also keep in mind, my all-time favorite match is Shawn versus Bret at WrestleMania. So maybe I'm just the asshole. Who knows?
I can see him being an asshole. I can see him in the ring doing it because he hated Diesel, all that stuff. I can see him taking his little bits where it's Lawler. He's like, dude, you're not me. And Lawler being like, I'm gonna pile drive you. And Brett's like, I'm not gonna give you that. Like, not gonna happen. Definitely can see him being that guy.
This is the entire point of me bringing Sal on tonight. Is just so I can defend. I knew someone could defend me for this Bret Hart take. So Sal, if
Bret never lost his damn smile though. So.
Look, everybody has their faults, okay?
It's because Bret never smiled.
There you go.
Yeah, I was going to follow it up with that, but yeah,
okay,
I'm glad you.
Perfect. Okay, so Sal, you've got what? NWA, you got a pay-per-view coming up with?
Yeah, we got big pay-per-view coming up at the end of the month, August 27th, 28th. Double check your calendars for that. It's 2-night pay-per-view, NWA 74. Night 1, it will be the Miserably Faithful, James Mitchell's Miserably Faithful against the Ill Begotten in a hardcore match, or they've got some name on it. The
Hell yeah.
Beelzebubs.
Perfect. No, you got it right. You got it right.
And then night 2, me and Gags the Gimp will be taking part in the U.S. Tag Champ Battle Royal.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's where you shine. By the way, that's where you shine. If people don't know, Sal is a experienced battle royal alert.
And because I'll go ahead and this is the headline. This is the quote you could lead off on all your news sites with. Little spoiler alert on this one, because it's for the U.S. titles. Yes, it's true. I am getting Lex Luger tribute gear made for the battle royal.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Last year in St. Louis, because keep in mind we're back at the Chase, which is a huge deal for a nerd like me.
Yes.
So when we were going into the Chase last year, all the podcasts I did, I would ask the host, do you know how many people have walked on the moon? Human carbon beings walked on the moon. The answer is 12. The Chase is the moon to me. It was just not even an option, right? The last time that somebody had run the Chase prior to us last year was 1991. And even though I've been around forever, I wasn't around forever and a day. So, getting to wrestle at the Chase, dude, this is the place that Mudstick booked, that Flair defended the title, that Harley defended the title, DiBiase, Von Erich, Dick the Bruiser, the Crusher. I mean, you name them. St. Louis was the place to be in the territory days. And now I'm in the Chase, doing the same thing. And plus Flair was there. Just sidebar, Flair's in the ring at the NWA show, putting over the NWA World title in an NWA ring. I'm the only one at the curtain losing
That's
my
crazy.
mind, right? Because here's Rick freaking Flair talking about the legacy and importance of the NWA title, and he's going through it. I'm just like, this is cool as crap. And then I finally feel somebody behind me, maybe after 5 minutes. So I turn, it's Billy Corgan. And I'm here I am in a building I never thought was imaginable. And it's a Sal sandwich with Ric Flair and the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins as the bread. Like, sometimes life doesn't make any sense, right?
That's a warm hug. That's a warm hug right there, isn't
Right?
it?
And so, fast forward a year, we're back in the chase. And I'm so I'm in a featured match on the first night of the pay-per-view, which is super cool. The second night I plan on bringing home a title. So really, really stoked about that. Then plus we've got legends coming in, Barry Windham, JJ Dillon, Baby Doll, and then the next 3 nights we'll be down in Nashville for the Power tapings, the NWA USA tapings, and Ricky Steamboat's coming in for that. So some cool stuff up on the horizon.
Awesome. Well, it's definitely deserved, Sal. I mean, once again, we will be in contact with you, and we're going to try to get you featured on some other Cheap Heat exclusive stuff.
Come on. I love rambling about wrestling, especially the old stuff. I mean, you give me time to ramble about pro wrestling.
Hey, we always want it to be.
Yeah, you guys get an Ahmed Johnson special. You sign me older.
I think Shane Knowles could be convinced to do that. We can make that happen.
Ahmed's my dude. I could go on for 6 hours about how great he was.
Awesome.
Which is ironic. He couldn't go 6 hours without it.
I don't think he's got 6 hours of footage out there.
I don't think Ahmed Johnson could spend 6 hours talking about how good he was.
No, but I'll do it.
Okay. Well, Sal, we will have you on soon, man. We're going to go to commercial break, guys, on the backside of that. Thank you once again, Sal. We will see you soon, buddy.
Guys, have a good one.
Bye. We're going to go on commercial break, and on the backside of it, we're going to do top 5 moves that are my least favorite of all time. Does that sound good to y'all? All right, cool.
You looking to have a good time? Well, head on down to Happy Hour Comedy Club and Restaurant in Anniston, Alabama. Shoot you some pool, play you some darts, or head on over to the bar and get you a cold beer or one of them fancy cocktail drinks. They got all that. You hungry? Get you one of the best pizzas in Anniston or anything else off the menu. They got burgers, tacos, chicken wings, anything you want. Every Thursday night, they got open mic comedy and karaoke, and live comedy every Friday and Saturday night with some of the top comedians from across the United States. Go to happyhourcomedyclub.com for more information and tell them Whitey Jenkins sent you.
Hey guys, this is Wolfie D from PG-13. Check out my podcast, Live and in Color with Wolfie D, every Monday at noon. We're talking Memphis, we're talking ECW, WCW, WWF, everywhere that I've been. We even have some great guests, some Hall of Famers on the show with us every Monday at noon, Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
You like barbecue? Well, of course you do, unless you're some kind of weirdo or wasn't raised right. So if you want to get some of the best barbecue around, check out P3 Barbecue. Our buddy David Estes does it up right, and he'll be glad to cater to your next event or just send you some of his award-winning sauce right there to your own doorstep. Go over and check them out on the Facebooks at facebook.com/P3Barbecue or give old David a call at 901-679-3452 and tell him Whitey Jenkins sent you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school, but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Dangerous Dan Colley, the Professor Jimmy Street, and the Plastic Sheik Jared are the undisputed six-man tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This trio does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Get ready to get inspired. It's Zanders Inspirational Podcast, the brand new podcast with Upbeat Zanders, as he has one-on-one podcast sessions that both inspire and inform. Check it out as Zanders has a one-on-one interview with some of your favorite people in and out of the professional wrestling business. Give it a listen on CheapHeatTVLive.com. It's the Old School Dives Pro Wrestling Podcast with Shane Knowles and Gene Jackson. Every episode, they will take a deep dive into old school professional wrestling. Pro wrestlers, events, all sorts of great topics will be covered every 2 weeks right here on Old School Dives. You can find it at CheapHeatTVLive.com and at YouTube.com/CheapHeatTV. It's Old School Dives with Shay Knowles and Gene Jackson.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Back here on Cheap Heat TV. It's Sunday. I'm here with me, Gene, Scotty, and Mako. How's fun interview?
Let me just say right now, just in all seriousness, I know we give you a hard time out of fun and we break your balls on here a lot, but
Yeah,
I gotta say, Sal was an excellent guest, as promised.
Fun
And you did a great job with the interview, and that was a lot of fun. And I hope we have him back on because he
man, it's
a
unbelievable.
wealth of knowledge and
Dude, it's
a
crazy.
personality, man. He really is a
oh
personality.
Yeah. Hey,
we gotta get him and Marv on together on some podcast.
So,
I was about to say, so Marv and Sal's relationship, they don't talk about it much because you see them very briefly mentioned. They kayfabe each other. Like, they kayfabe each other so hard. So them two are way worse than what me and Scott are, because, like, Sal is just ruthless with poor old Marv. I feel bad for poor old Marv because he's always puppy dogged and always big Sal fan, and Sal's ruthless, man. That's where I learned.
I just wish more people would understand like this show right here. If we can get the word out, just to watch that, just to listen to some of the things that he says, like people would actually like take some of that shit to heart. Because I heard it last night, like not throwing it, but James Storms was there. I swear to you, he said the exact same thing. All the older guys will tell the Genesis. I don't know the guy. I don't know.
Jason Genesis, yes,
he was talking to him, and he was, how do you want me to do something? And James was like, look, I get it, but people like out there, like in this show right here, it's just good to like have like he said, he had that match. He kind of broke it down. He's got already ready to go every time he hits a house show. Guys got to realize that, like, you get back there, it's like, I wish guys would like do that more. Like, get with vets, and vets will tell you, like, man, less is so much more at these shows. It's the same thing last night that we did. It was just like, I like older guys. Like, hands down, my favorite thing in this business is always the older guys, because you go back there and it's like, you don't have to sit there and pretend you know the move. They're going to give you something like, I want to do a slingshot Rana Blukalaka. You're like, what, dude? What are we doing? Like, does anybody know what that is? Like, but the other guys are like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go out there, we go bop, 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 boom, boom, boom. And the crowd goes, ah, and you're like, it worked. You're in the ring like there, and you're like, oh, okay. This from now on, you just tell me what you want me to do.
It's going to be one of those shows where you break kayfabe, I guess. But no, I mean, but that's always been the way it is, and it's kind of it makes it kind of hard to deal with sometimes, because it is like whenever I was really young and like Sal was in that locker room, and he alluded to Jimmy, and I kind of wanted to ask him about Jimmy a little bit more, but it's a weird subject still, and I was also afraid he was going to get into a 15-minute about Jimmy, which I'd have been fine with, but you know how Smokey is with Tom. Me and Smokey have a very distinct plan going throughout. So, like, we'll talk about him later on, but in that locker room, you just went up to people. Like, if you were even close to even thought you were the younger guy, you just went up to him and said, hey, what are we doing? And they had a game plan.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's so many people who, if you walk up to them and say, hey, what's the game plan? I don't know.
It's weird. I think really what happens is, I'm thinking more in my head. It was when he was talking, I was like, a lot of this falls on the fact that, the promoters and the bookers, when you get there, they're not really setting the tone for the entire, locker room too. Like, I feel like guys are kind of in there for a free for all, when it should be, like he said, everybody should be trying to get better.
Shows that do better and shows that produce and get better and always succeed, the promoter or the booker or whatever you want to call that person is involved with it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of is.
Because my favorite show to be on was always, and I think it was the closest thing I've ever been to, like a high is WWN down in Florida, where Trevor would sit there. Like I said, they have meetings and they say, everybody call out, this, and they made sure everybody. And I was like, this is nice. Like, this, if I was going to do something, this would be how I'd like it run, because everybody's on such a high caliber. But they made sure everybody understood, like, hey, this is one of our guys. He does this. Nobody else. I don't want to, like, I like that. Like, I mean, I just think behind, if we're pulling the curtain back since Sal, I just feel like that's something that I wish more people were on that level of just being planned out better like that. Because like last night, I think the show, APW was a great show. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. The crowd was there. Like I know you saw the face. It was hot. I'll give. Do
you want to do a Mako's moment here in a second about the EPW? Because we'll get back to that. We'll go back to it. No. If that's what you want to do,
I'm just
I
saying,
want you
like,
to cut something. Let's just.
Oh, I just cut
create
it.
a
I'm
moment.
just telling you, like, there's certain times
Okay,
where
so
I'm very,
EPW is
like,
a great top. Thanks, EPW.
lately, the shows that I've been on, just, me, like, because, even with the Pro South farewell thing, that was great too. I mean, I don't know. Certain guys I've been working with lately, I've been privileged now to finally get a little bit to where it's been fun. It's like getting, that mojo back. We're like, damn, this is really fucking fun again.
You're welcome. That's us. Me and Scott is who he's talking. That's who Scott. That's who he's talking about working with.
Who wasn't there at these shows? You didn't
Oh,
have fun on, man.
Trust me. I had to hear.
Your
I've had to hear
microphone's
about it.
being covered.
I've had to hear about it. I've had to hear about it. It's like, we're the gentlemen. Hey, how come you guys? They let you drop out
your
yourself?
microphone was covered. It was doing like this, and I couldn't understand what you were saying, G. And I'm sorry for the podcast listeners.
I had an excuse for Scott. I didn't have one for Zanders. I was like,
nobody has an excuse.
Scott's over there building gear and logos for people. He's getting paid on the side. He picked up really, really good work doing that.
Zanders is trying to get the most insane person in pro wrestling.
He's looking for his outfit for his podcast. He's looking for his
that is true.
Like, he's laying out his outfit for Sunday.
Zanders is at home watching bad wrestling. I won't say the name of it.
Well, I mean, like being Sal, man, it's a bad athlete. I like to think Sal is who I strive to be in professional wrestling because he's
Sal's got that part where he actually
that's the problem where he catches me on. I'm bigger than he is.
We got to get Sal to coach you. I'm like,
bigger
okay,
than he is.
The only part you're missing is that part where you actually leave the house and do the show.
If you get Sal Rinauro at a show, I'll show up. That is, you put that on the calendar.
I'm hoping people, because I mean, if it's two things, the Marv show and the Sal show now, those are two. Props to you for, actually being friends with people on the outside, like your two friends that you do have. But I'm glad you got them all, and people should actually go back and watch those. I pushed the Marv show big time. This is another one. Like, I just think that people can gather a lot from those. I know that we usually shoot the shit 90% of the time, but if people actually want to watch and like,
but I mean, it's like people can debate whether we know what we're talking about or whether our the stuff we say has any value or not.
That dude doesn't.
But I mean, Sal's been there and done it. There's footage to prove it. There's plenty of people that can back him up. So you don't have to believe what we say. But when a guy like Sal says it or a guy like Marv says it, who's been there and done it, like you can't argue that. You can't argue with success. You can't argue with experience. And like I said, Sal is on a first name basis with some of the biggest stars in the business, guys that a lot of these people that we're talking about are big fans.
I wanted to ask him. That was one of the,
for lack of a better word. And so, listen to Sal, and there's value to what he says. And if you want to get somewhere, you want to make something of yourself, listen to this guy because he dropped a lot of knowledge in a small amount of time right there.
I wanted him to give us an opinion on who he thinks is better out of those guys because he name dropped some pretty big names there. And, like, those guys are at the top of the business. Who's the best one right now? I mean, in y'all's opinion, I see Danielson doing promos, and he's not working as much, but everything he's doing is big fight feel. Like, even against opponents, that's, like, way down the tier list of him, he makes them feel big fight every time.
What's crazy to me is Danielson has been at the top of the top. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, his run with the Yes Movement and him as the champion and him winning at WrestleMania was huge. But there's still people who have kind of that opinion, like Sal said. They were saying to him when he said bring him to Atlanta, they were like, he's kind of boring. He's not really like. People do not give Danielson credit for just how good he is of a character, of mic work.
As the character of technical wrestler, he's top. I mean, he's in there. He's in that top role.
But I mean, he has the ability to. I mean. Just like his whole, and I mean, this could be an element of his real personality, but just like his heel run as the eco-friendly champion in WWE, like he went from being the most beloved, guy in the company to being this asshole heel, and you believed it, and probably because there's probably a shred of his real personality in that, or probably a lot of his real personality.
Yeah, the eco thing is definitely him.
But like, he's the kind of guy I think kind of a throwback to like the Jerry Lawlers and Bill Dundees I grew up on. Like Bryan Danielson could go out on Wednesday night, cut a promo at the beginning of the show, turn complete babyface, have every person in that building on his side, and come back out at the end of the night and turn completely 100% heel before the show goes off the air, and everybody would hate him. He's that good.
It's fun. That's the kind of fun stuff. That's the kind of fun stuff that I'm missing.
I think Sal would be a lot like us. So if you asked him that question, I think he'd put everybody in categories. I don't think he'd ever say anybody's the best. I think he'd put like in ring, he'd be like Danielson, CM Punk, like he said on the mic.
You think Danielson is the best? Because I have the opinion that Rollins is probably. I think Rollins is probably the best in ring. like just match quality wise, like his match quality, and like I'm gonna imagine I could.
It would depend on
see,
what you like stylistically.
I could see
between
him and
those
Logan
two.
Paul having probably one of the better matches, period. And like to where it would be different with the Bryan Danielson match. I believe Seth Rollins matches his style with everyone super well, no matter what that style is.
But I think that's another one of those things where you get back to the whole it's a matter of opinion.
Opinion-based,
Because,
It's
but I
story-based.
haven't seen Rollins have a bad match with anybody.
And I mean, like, I haven't seen anything like Danielson have a bad match with anybody, but I've seen a lot of matches where after watching
lost
that
interest.
Seth Rollins, well, I've seen a lot of matches with Seth Rollins where I'm like, wow, that dude stepped up his game to where every time, even if Danielson has to just work a broomstick, he'll work a broomstick.
That's what I was gonna say. The reason why there's one person that I just don't know why, but I can't is Cody. Cody, I saw Cody go against Janela, and I was just like, God, Janela's so bad. And Cody still worked it. He still was out there making this guy somewhat look like he should be on TV. And I was like, man, if he's not good. Because I could not believe that they put Janela on TV like that. And Cody actually somehow made this guy look like he could wrestle. Because Janela is he's a gimmick guy. I get that. But Cody actually worked. And I was like, Cody's mine.
underrated.
Cody's my dude right now. I don't know
I'm
what
not
he
gonna
is
say
about
I
him.
haven't seen Cody have.
I was about to say that Cody's
I've
not.
seen
been
Cody
in
have
enough.
some bad matches here and there, but overall, I mean, you'll never convince me that Cody's the one that made Darby Allin on that pay-per-view. I don't think he would be at the level he's at now if Cody hadn't went out there and had the competitive match he had with him on that pay-per-view and made him right at the very beginning of AEW. I think he would have been another mid-card guy that's willing to dive off of anything and half kill himself. But Cody made him look credible in that match to the point that he's rode that wave ever since.
He's got that Triple H in him, I think. I feel like he's just got that behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, dude,
he's got
that his daddy in him too, to where he's that fiery babyface when he has to be. He knows how to get that. He knows how to get that fire to where he seems like a average Joe that you wouldn't want to meet in the back alley. Like that's always been like what makes a good babyface is being in the back alley. Would you want to fight them if you try to steal their girlfriend? Like that's how I've always seen like a good like babyface whenever it comes to being a Cody Rhodes style babyface. It's the same way. It looks like he can steal your girlfriend from wanting to do whatever. I mean, he looks like a credible fighter when it comes to professional wrestling. Real quick side note, Sal messaged me and said AC Mack was the guy he was thinking of who he wanted to wrestle if he had an opportunity to wrestle somebody right now. I would also like to see him and David Ali too. I'm sure he's probably wrestled David Ali a couple of times in Georgia, but those are some guys that are really good at that.
I love AC. AC's what AC trained. He helped train me a little bit too.
Very talented guy. All right, cool. So, but no, I think Cody Rhodes is up there. But I just think it's.
I think Randy could be. I still think Randy's the guy, but I just don't think he gets the body of work anymore. I just don't think he cares to be that guy. I just think he could be. If you gave him a storyline and told Randy to go out there and do his thing, he could right there be all over again and just be like, "Oh, Randy's the shit."
Agreed if it was storyline stuff, but like. Those guys, and I mean, even AJ Styles still creates something out of nothing.
The weird thing about AJ is as much as everybody likes AJ Styles, I like him. I don't know why. I just don't. He's never been that guy to me. Like whenever they push him and everything, I think it's just the way he looks.
I think you can ask Scott. Every time me and Scott will sit down and watch a WWE pay-per-view, it's the one match that I will stop and watch no matter who he's wrestling against, just because I'm interested in seeing how he's going to do it.
Because he put something in it unique differently.
Yep.
But take one thing he does and he makes it unique to that next person in line, and
it's the way
he does a style. He makes it a wow moment every time. So.
Well, it's kind of like Rey Mysterio. Like he does stuff so uniquely that it draws me to it because the way he jumps, the way AJ Styles moves, everything is different than what technique says. He's a very untechnically like top flyer to where if you look at Ricochet and stuff like that, that's technique. Like even Jack Evans has got some of that technique.
But for some reason, like I have never been a fan of Randy Orton in the ring. He's not bad. I don't think he's a bad wrestler. I'm just never. I don't know. I just never dug him.
He has
but
good
like
character
in interviews, like when he's on like Stone Cold's podcast or when he was on Pat McAfee's show, I really like the guy. He makes a lot of sense, and
that's why I started liking him.
Agree with everything he says, but just in the ring, I'm just like.
When he was young and he was doing all the dumb shit and he was in the clubs and they were kind of pulling him out and he was I don't like the voices. I kind of lost A couple percentages off the voice, but
Well,
the
he got encouraged
Evolution,
to do too much.
The Randy, that one I love that one. I saw a documentary, but I saw why he came out of that character, and that was more for his longevity. If he had stayed that character, I don't think Randy would be as sane as he is right now. But the voices was for him to be able to express how he was, and I was like, I get it. I mean, it's funny how wrestlers use their gimmicks to somehow express and give them a path through their real lives, because
it's the best
sometimes they get
it's the
caught
most
up in their own
profitable
shit.
one. It's always the most profitable ones because Sal's been doing it a really long time, and he's never been like the feature guy. And even he'll say like NWA that this is a career highlight for him, and it's because he never was a gimmick guy. Like he did great promos. He was always
I saw the promo.
Yeah, but I mean, like before this gimmick, the insane Sal that he plays. And he described himself as upbeat, which is, a good thing. But his crazy Sal gimmick that he's playing is just it's allowed him a lot more opportunities because it's been a gimmick that allows him to do it.
Because Sal, in my opinion, I think he'd probably even agree with this. Up until now, Sal has always had that kiss of death of being a good hand. He's a talented wrestler. He can work with anybody. He can make anybody look good. But he wasn't able really to feature himself or have anything that really – it was always about the other guy for the most part. And now this character is allowing him to showcase what he can do, and now the focus is on him. And I'm looking forward to see where it goes for him. I think it's a great opportunity, and the NWA is coming along.
It's a cult following.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
They're building a following, and I'm glad to see it. I mean, because there needs to be something out there besides WWE and AEW, and I think they're a very strong third alternative of something that's very different from what you're getting from the other two companies.
Well, this is whole nother conversation I wouldn't mind having with Sal, because I've talked to some older heads like Johnny Swinger and stuff like this about the territories, and I want to see how Sal feels about it, because I feel like stuff like NWA coming back opens up the door to have territories, and territories is back in the day. That's how a lot of us guys made money. Like that was the only way, because they had local television deals that allowed them to get paid decent enough money to where they could travel and where they could work out and do fun stuff like that. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yep.
Territories.
Yeah. Maybe if we could ever get Shane Knowles to, be more than just once in a lifetime. That was the one question I wanted to ask you on the backside of this is, what's the old school Dives territory looking like? How's that going? Where are we at with the next one of those?
I gotta get with Knowles. We may have the next episode coming up this Wednesday night.
He's the worst.
Schedule wise, it should be, but I haven't actually confirmed that with him yet. So, but we'll be if we stick to the plan, it should be this Wednesday night, and it'll be about Exotic Adrian Street.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. So Knowles, you better stick to the plan, or now we got Sal Rinauro in our back pocket. We'll kick you to the curb. Smoke will fight that ass.
Hey,
sorry.
We also have Marv. I like Marv. I like Marv.
Well, and Marv was another one, because Sal and Marv are kind of on opposite ends of spectrums. And I'll say this real quick, because the show's we're almost on the backside of an hour, getting real close to it. But Marv spoke in the interview about how he was happy being just the good hand. Yeah, being the good hand, and to where he's getting to live out his dream. And I'm sure that probably comes with age of Sal kind of talking about his legacy and thinking about where he is on this, where professional wrestling is. But I would like to see, because 5 years ago, Sal was Marv. He was just happy with being a good hand. He went to ROH and had a match with, and it's funny because, you see how humble and how nice the guy is. He walks into a locker room and it's like, he doesn't know those guys. Those guys go out of their way to talk to him. It's crazy. I saw the Briscoe brothers. I can't remember which Briscoe brother was. Saw on the sheet he was wrestling Sal, and jumped up and down for joy to just be in the ring with the good hand Sal Rinauro.
That sounds like Mark, if I had to guess.
But and of course they went out there and he did the off the apron to the floor neck breaker blockbuster gimmick and looked awful. But that's another story for another day. So, but hey, what a great show! We're past the hour mark. I was gonna say we don't have anything to. Smokey has nothing planned to try to hit a hard out on. I don't guess so. Unless
I don't guess we have a
Mako, you want to try to get Smokey through You want to see if
You're
Smokey
not
will
getting me now. You're already called the
Mega's like,
time.
you're not making it 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
pal.
no, you got me last
trick
time.
me one
Nah.
time. Trick
You
me
called
2
time,
times.
sir. I know. I'm looking at the time, 7 o'clock. I was like, nope.
Hey, that's probably the most professional thing you've done. I mean, do you want to? Man, I feel bad because I mean, you didn't get to talk much. I do feel kind of bad.
I talk just enough, Zanders. You can keep trying.
What do you mean?
Go ahead,
you,
talk
you
right
had
now.
a, you had
No, I
a
haven't.
you had a good weekend, didn't you? You talked
All
about
right,
it.
ladies and gentlemen, we're wrapping this
Hang
up.
on.
We're gonna go out on a
Do
good
you want
note.
to? Do you want to
hey,
do you want me to
plug
do
our
a,
stuff? Plug our stuff real quick.
What have we got to
CheapHeat.
plug, boo? Do you not have? Do you not know all of our
Merchandise.
stuff? Hang on.
What's up, man?
Okay, well, let's talk to Smokey and tell him to pull up some of our YouTube stuff. There's our new YouTube. Oh, social media
There we go.
flashing in front of. Look at all of our social media, Mako. You want to go through it? You can see
No,
it.
man.
What do you mean? I'm not going to cut you. Or Smokey's not going to cut you off. I'm not going to cut you off. Genie, you're going to cut him off.
I'm not cutting anybody off.
Okay.
I haven't been the one doing that, by the way.
That's been
I would
Smokey.
never.
Yep.
I would never dream of cutting anyone off.
Yeah, I know.
Y'all ain't getting me in trouble no more. I'm tired of it.
Okay,
People want
so
to hear what I
but-
got to say. No.
So do you want to talk about? Do you
Keep
are
trying,
you,
Zanders.
are you
Zanders, how about,
Twitch
what's on
streaming?
your mind, man? What's on your mind?
No. Are you Twitch streaming yet?
What's on your mind, Zanders?
I've been trying to get you to plug all
Who's
of
our
your
next
outlets.
guest? Who's our
I've
next
been-
Yeah,
guest?
seriously. What's going on next? What's going on next Sunday night, Zanders?
Um,
Give us a big tease right now.
I'm in conversation.